Welcome back to episode 25 of Tusk and Tradition. We are a quarter of a way to 100 episodes, and that is cause for celebration. Let's celebrate by talking about this big-time recruit Alabama football just got. Elijah Haven out of Baton Rouge, Louisiana, chose the Tide over Florida and Georgia. Surprisingly, LSU was not in that mix. He's going to be in the 2027 class, which is already a loaded class. For Alabama quarterback room, we already had Trent Seaborn, a local talent at Thompson High School, just south of Birmingham. You probably heard about him in the news, but he's the guy who's been playing quarterback for his high school since 8th grade, maybe even 7th grade, something like that. And not just playing, but winning state championships at a 7A level in Alabama high school football, which is a really good state to play high school football in. So really impressive. He comes in as a 4-star. They'll be competing on top of, Keelan Russell, the existing people we already have in the system, and there'll be transfers. It's a great problem to have. It's a crowded room, but that's iron sharpens iron. So a really good problem to have. A lot of great players wanting to come play for Kalen DeBoer, especially at that quarterback position. I think it's really big. That's a position you have to have, and especially for his style of offense, it's really important. So we're just going to – it's really impressive to keep stacking talent. So that's the first little news of football, and probably the only thing I'm really going to touch on for football today. But it is a big news, so I wanted to make sure we got it mentioned. Hopping over to current day sports, we got baseball and softball playing right now. I mean, baseball has been up and down. The last time we talked, we were kind of coming off, a big high with, the series win at Oklahoma. Kind of felt like that team was finally trending the right direction. And since then, it's just been up and down. Right after that game, you play Sanford in a midweek game, and you run rule them. You're still riding that high. And then, Arkansas comes into town, top 25 team. We're at the Joe. It's a big, weekend series. They're probably one of the bigger crowds you're going to get because you're playing good baseball, and then you get swept. And really, the first two games, not super competitive. And the last game was kind of competitive, but, not the closest really count in the game of baseball. We lost all three and got swept. So that was an unfortunate series. Kind of really hurt. At this time of year, you're thinking about, seeding, tournament. Can we host? What does that look like? And that series might really hurt us at the end of all this if it comes down we didn't get to host, which right now it's looking like we're not. After that we played a midweek game, pretty cool. We played at the Birmingham Barron Stadium, which is Region Field, against UAB. UAB plays I think two home games a year there, usually between Alabama and Auburn when they come to town. So that's pretty cool. I wanted to go. My roommates went. I had to work that day, unfortunately, but that's really cool they do that. But, you bounce back there, and we kind of stole that one. We were down for majority of the game, and, at the end made a large impact at the end of the game where the score doesn't reflect it, but that game was closer than 12-6 scoreboard. Then we go play at Texas, number 4 Texas. Yeah, we haven't won a game there, I think, since the early 1900s, which is crazy to think about. I know they're new to the SEC and all. But we only were able to steal one, and it was the Sunday game to avoid the sweep. We won 2-1. But yeah, I remember watching the game. They flashed that graphic at the bottom of the screen saying this was Alabama's first win in Austin, Texas since, it was either mid or early 1900s, which is crazy. But, obviously you want to win series. That's the name of the game. But you don't want to get swept, especially against good competition. So you get a win there, and then, I talked about riding the ups and downs, the highs and lows. You get a win at Texas. So, let's see if that Texas win can kind of mimic that Florida series sweep, a few weeks ago where we kind of just took off. So, maybe I'm thinking, let's win this, the end game of a 3-game series versus Texas. Let's go home. Let's take care of UAB at home. And let's go to Knoxville and take care of Tennessee. So, let's just ride this wave. And then instantly we lose 11-2 to UAB at home. It really can't happen. That's a hard pill to swallow for a midweek loss to UAB, especially in that form and fashion. And then you go to Knoxville, you win the first game in a shootout, and then you have a doubleheader the next day, and you really play really non-competitive baseball. Lose 10-0 in the 8th inning, and you lose 11-4 to lose the series. So, winning series, name of the game. And we came off that week right there, losing the midweek game to UAB and then losing a non-competitive series really to Tennessee. And then like I said, highs and lows. Come back, have Vanderbilt at home, sweep them. Play really good baseball. Have a really exciting walk-off win in that first game 5-4, and then take care of the game 2-5-0, and then win the series outright 8-5 on that Saturday game. Really awesome. They came in watching that game. We were kind of the 17 seed, which would be the first 2 seed in the regionals. So obviously a sweep kind of can jump you into maybe that 16-15, get you to host a regional. We can get some playoff games at the Joe, and then you come back and lose 1-6 to Troy in a midweek game at Troy. And so that's just kind of like, man, no, I don't. If this is like now, let's just take. The stock market. I love Alabama baseball, but right now, would I want to buy that stock? It doesn't seem super safe. It seemed super safe 3 weeks ago when we were winning series versus Oklahoma. We were sweeping Florida. We were taking care of these midweek games. Yeah, the stock was high. I'll get my money on that stock. Ooh, right now, I don't know if I want to put my money in the stock. I'm gonna watch for sure. But I don't know, but that's kind of how I feel. Obviously, Roll Tide till we die, but that's the analogy I could give y'all right now. Really huge series. We're playing at South Carolina this weekend. I mean, it's almost got to be a sweep. This is a bottom tier team of the SEC right now. They're not having a good year. You got to take care of business, and then you come home next weekend to finish the year home to Ole Miss. Ole Miss is top 25 team. It's going to be a really good game. Really good games. So these are 2 series you have to win. I kind of argue you have to sweep the first one and then win the second one. Really, if we want to host, after these midweek losses, I think we're going to have to sweep both and maybe still even get a little bit lucky. So that's kind of where we're at. And maybe we can, that's just to be safe going into the SC, Hoover ball playing. Maybe we always can play our way into a good seeding with a really well-performance SEC tournament. But that's kind of baseball. We really got to finish the year strong, and then maybe make some noise in Hoover. And we'll just go from there. It's fun. That's why you watch. That's why you play. You never know what's going to happen. And so that's exciting. Now kind of going over to who's been really awesome, really more stable, is Alabama softball. Last time we talked, they were just coming off the thrilling series win versus Texas, which at the time they were number 1, and since then, for the most part, there's one little hiccup we'll get to in a second. For the most part, Bama softballs took care of business. After that game, you had a midweek game versus South Alabama. You win that game in 5 innings, 8-0, and then we played, at Auburn, and we just, it's always fun to beat them. We swept them. I'm not sure what Auburn's really beat us at this year. Didn't beat us in either basketball game. Didn't beat us in football. Got swept in baseball. Got swept in softball. I mean, I don't know what they're doing better at all. Firing their coach in football. Having, the rocky year. He was able to turn around and win the NIT tournament. But having a rocky year with, the new coach Pearl over there in basketball. That's just, I don't know what they're doing right over there, which obviously that's a biased opinion coming from me. But, yeah, we sweep them. And then, this is the one hiccup I was talking about. I unexplainably lost 2-3 at Samford. Very uncharacteristic. It's sports. Upsets are going to happen. But that was just a crazy one to really lose. Super unexpected. But, hey, it's all about how you respond. We played Kentucky that weekend and, ended up getting the sweep in pretty dominant fashion. I think we had 2 shutouts that weekend, and then I think we walked off the middle game of that series. And then we played UAB in Birmingham with a big time win. I think that was another shutout. And then Tennessee, that's a really good Tennessee team. They play some good softball up there. You'd love to win that series. We did lose that series 2-1. Won the first game 12-0 in dominant fashion, and then lost. Bats went cold, lost 2-0, and then lost the rubber match 4-1. It's a good Tennessee team. I think we could have played a little bit better. that series. But things are going to, like I said, like the Stanford game, things are going to happen. That's just part of the game. And then, to end the year, South Carolina came to Tuscaloosa, and that was a much-needed sweep over a top 21 team. And so now, that secured the 2 seed for the SEC tournament. You would love to have won the regular season. Oklahoma won it by one better game than Alabama. Just every game matters, especially when you have teams like Alabama and Oklahoma who just don't really lose a lot of games. It's really impressive what they're able to do. I mean, you look at these records and they're just unreal. I've been saying it all year. If y'all don't watch softball, you're doing yourself a disfavor. It's so much fun. It's high action packed. They're really talented. There's a lot going on. It's fun to learn about because I've always grew up a baseball guy, and it's similar but different. There's things they can do like a rise ball. Never heard of that until I started getting into softball. It's awesome. But yeah, we're the 2 seed. We have had a double bye. We are playing today at 1 p.m. Central Time versus Arkansas. It's just a little bit. We've played them before. It's the SEC schedule. All these teams you should have played. We'll see how it goes. Hopefully, a big win can advance us further into the SEC tournament. That would be. You're kind of locking up a. This is probably generous, but at least top 5, if not top 2, top 3, overall seed in the softball tournament, no matter what happens. So that is reassuring, but you want teams that are hungry. You want teams that don't care about that and want to go win it just because they want to go win. And part of it's fun to, let's say this team wins the championship. It's fun to not only win the championship, but we win the SEC too. Okay, and then we won the whole thing. There's steps to it, and I think it's it's a lot more fun. You look at the past Alabama football teams that won that championship. We'll see if we think of a good year. 2017, lose to Auburn. Don't go to the SEC championship game, and then you get into the tournament, play your way to Georgia, win the national championship. Awesome, great year, national championships. But we didn't win the SEC, and it's only look at Indiana last year. 16-0, national champions, won the Big Ten. Didn't really play many 2 close games the whole year in 16-game schedule. Number 1 pick, Heisman. That's just domination. The only thing that really matters is championship. That's really, to be honest. But it's just fun. You can say all the rest of that kind of stuff. That's kind of the update with current Alabama sports. I know it's been about a month. I said it when football season ended. It's a lot easier to recap, 5 to 7 games at a time or 2 or 3 series of baseball and softball and update you on recruiting than it is to do a weekly recap, when it comes down to each football game was every weekend. But that's going to wrap it up here, episode 25. We will have episode 26, hopefully after, Bama baseball and Bama softball win the SEC in their respective sports, and we can celebrate that. But until then, Roll Tide.